Hi, everybody. It's Mr. D. Thanks so much for being here today at 11 on a summer day to learn a little bit more about S cubed. It's so good to see you. For those who are on screen, great. If you're not, it's okay. We are recording for people who come after. And I don't know about you, but every time I do one of these Zoom sessions, I get a panic attack right before, like I'm back in 2020, like everything's going to go badly. So forgive me because I'm having one right now, but I know you guys understand because you all lived it just like I did. So today, first thing I want you to do is check that chat box if you're just getting in, because I put in a link to a free lesson that's an ear training lesson. You can do it without buying S cubed, and it's free today. And it gives you some good ear training pieces because ear training is a big component of S cubed. And then there's some 50% off things that go until 1 o'clock today, the most popular bundles, in case you've been waiting to buy for a session like this, if you want to do that. And there's several ways to stay in touch with me on social media also in that link. So please go and take advantage of those opportunities if you have time until 1 o'clock today. This session is going to go for the PowerPoint will probably take around 40 minutes or so. And at the end of the PowerPoint, I will stay as long as you want to answer questions. And then I will go back and look at the chat and kind of go back through some of the questions. So you can just go load up those questions as we go. And then I will take them all at the end. But this is a presentation that I do at state conventions and things like that. And it's meant to be live, obviously, but we will adapt in the best ways that we can. And you'll get a feeling for kind of the arc and flow of S cubed, and then you can ask all the questions you may have. I know there are a variety of people in the room. Some have never used S cubed. They don't know much about it at all. Some have used it some, but they want some guidance on that. I recognize the different levels that are in here today because of the messages I've gotten. So we're just going to make sure that if you're here, this is a valuable session for you. And that means at the end, I'll stay as long as you need. You can ask on camera or in the chat any questions about it. All right. So right now we're going to launch into it. And if you can be on, I'm going to stop sharing real quick because I'd like to see more of you. There you are. Okay. You guys need to pretend with me that we are at the first day of school. Your sixth graders have just walked in. You've put stickers on their chairs with their names on it so that they know where to sit. You've got instructions on the board ready for them to know what to do. You've got like a word find or something very simple for them to do quietly while you deal with the things that kids don't know, like, is this my right class or whatever. So you've passed about 10 minutes. Everybody's doing what they're supposed to. They're finding their seats. And now it's time for us to have our first lesson of S cubed, the very first day of school. And you're a sixth grader, okay? So here we go with me. If you're on camera, I'm just going to use you as my sixth grader, okay? And if you're not, it's okay. All right, so everybody, I just need you to sit in your chair and follow me the best that you can through a camera, all right? Do what I do silently. Here we go. Okay, everybody, this is position 1. Keep following me. This is not position 1. No. Yes. No. Yes. No. Yes. Keep following me, okay? This is position 2. No. Keep following me. Yes. No. Yes. No. No. Yes. Position 2. Okay, keep following me. This is position 3. This is not position 3. This is position 3. Just relax in your chair, okay? Now, I'm no longer going to do the positions, but you're going to do them. So I'm going to put up a finger, and you're going to do the various positions that we just did. So ready, set, go. Good, you look great. Now mess up position 1, do something to mess it up. Fix it. Good. Great, now keep going. Okay. Now mess something up about position 2, anything. Fix it. Good. Okay, now go to position 3. And mess something up, make it not acceptable in some way. Good, fix it. I like it. You guys teach middle school. Okay, all right, now I'm not gonna do anything except for use my fingers, and you're just gonna go through the positions. Ready? Are you getting an aerobic workout? Good, that's what we want. And usually the kids laugh at that time. So right now we're gonna live in position 2 for a little bit, okay? So everybody's with me in position 2. Now you're gonna keep following me, but this time we're not gonna change anything about our bodies. Ready? Keep following me. Great job. Now behind me, you see the solfege ladder, just pretend. The solfege ladder is there for you. Anytime that we're doing these signs and you need them, you can use it. But right now I want you to focus on me. I'm gonna sing and sign 3 things, and then you're gonna sing and sign them back. And you guys just stay on mute for me, but make sure you're using your hands so I can judge what you're doing, okay? Here we go. Sol, mi, sol. Sol, mi, re. So, mi, fa. So, mi, re. Sorry. So, mi. Great. Now, from now on, we're going to keep doing what we just did, but you're no longer allowed to sing sol, mi, sol ever again today in this class. If you sing sol, mi, sol, or if you sign it, then I'm going to get a point, and I'm going to put it here on the board behind me under teacher. If even one of you sings it, I get the point. If even one of you signs it, I get the point. But if all of you remember not to sing it, I'm going to put a point under student, okay? Ready? Here we go. You're not allowed to sing so, mi, so. Here we go. Ready? So, mi. So, mi, re. So, mi, fa. So, mi, sol. Got it. Okay, so I saw somebody in the room. I'm not going to name the person, but I'm going to get my little point. Now we're going to play to 3. So when I get to 3 first and I win, you're going to lose. And then today, under second period, because that's where we are, I'm going to put a 1 for me, and you're going to see how all the other classes do. We're going to compete against each other. So let's continue and see if you can actually beat me. So, la. So, baby. I really like to win. And so sometimes it's really important to me to win for my self-esteem. So I'll tell stories about things that have nothing to do with anything in this class, random stuff like my dog right now is at the door, just begging to get in. So. Ah, see, I got it. All right, that's point number 2 for me. Yay, me. So don't let me distract you just because I like to win so much. But you'll hear stories about my life, like the cat is on Prozac. Seriously, I have a cat that's on Prozac. That's for real. So. So, mi, so. Got it. Okay, yay. So today, teacher 1, I'm so sorry that you lost on the very first day of school, second period, but I have a feeling you're going to start to beat me very quickly because this game is not that difficult. All right, you guys, you did great with the game. So you're off the 6th grade now, and we're into the training part of this session. But that game sets up the whole philosophy of this program S Cubed, which is as much philosophy as it is method. And the relationship that you create with your students when you are doing every single lesson of this program is really critical. And it's awesome, especially now when we're all sort of rebuilding our programs a bit, right, with COVID and everything. So let me see if I can do this correctly. And we're going to start going through this PowerPoint. Okay, so I'm going to ask some questions, and you guys can raise your hands and or just do an emoji if you would like. The first question is, how many of you have ever heard children moan with dread when you said to pull out the sight singing books? If you've heard, yeah, I definitely had that situation early in my teaching career. I hated that feeling of making them dread it and hate it. And so it was part of the driving force of me figuring out how to create something that they would enjoy and that I would enjoy. That's a really important part of the philosophy of S Cubed. How many of you have ever felt like a failure when you teach sight singing? If you have, just shoot your hand up or do an emoji. Yeah, I see that. I definitely felt like a failure most of the time. I couldn't find ways for them to combine rhythm and pitch and be successful. If it was more than quarter notes, I just couldn't get them to do it. And they would make mistakes, and then they would fall apart at about halfway through. And they were working hard. They were doing their best. It wasn't like they weren't trying. It's just that I just didn't know how to get it across to them. And that's another driving force for what I've put into this program. All right, so how many of you enjoy teaching sight singing in your current situation? If you do, just shoot your hands up there. I certainly do now, and I don't know if you know, but I recently retired, but I did enjoy it right up until the end. But I didn't before, because I just waited for that moment when they would fail and I couldn't fix it. I didn't know how. I had in my program more than 300 students, and this is the reason that I created S Cubed, because I had all beginners. Everybody who walked in, I mean, there were some kids who took piano, but most of them were true beginners, and I needed to reach them. I failed so many times. One of the reasons I created it, in the sight singing room, I had very frustrating experiences and embarrassing experiences because I just couldn't get the skills into my kids. I found that a lot of methods that I was trying would skip too many steps for my beginners. It seemed like they mostly moved too fast, or they took paths that caused problems for the true beginner that weren't being solved, and I would have to solve them. I wanted a systematic methodology that used 21st century format. One of the reasons I put videos into my S Cubed is because I always wanted to go watch great teaching, or to watch teachers even who weren't that great, if they were just learning, just because you always learn when you watch teachers. So I put all of the videos of me teaching every single lesson, unless the video failed, when I was creating this program, so that if you wanted to pull out that bottle of wine and sit and watch for next week, then you could do it, or just like, kind of go fast through it as you're learning how to do the system. I wanted to have fun when I was teaching. And so I created a competitive component that goes throughout the program. And the distractions and the fun, they love when you tell them about your life, when you're trying to win. But most importantly, I wanted my beginners to become musically literate. I wanted them to walk out the door with a lot of skills that I certainly didn't have when I was their age. And that was, I don't think I got a lot of the skills till college. So let me see if I can get this running. My research, I'm not an academic. I was a real teacher in a Title I public school until May of this year, when I retired after 30 years. So yeah, I'm muted there. You might want to check that. My research was 30 years of teaching middle school beginners, just true beginners. I waited for that Mozart child prodigy to come in, but it just didn't happen. A lot of smaller choirs, you have those 1 or 2 core kids that have had a lot of years of piano and they can take the kids through. I just didn't want that. I wanted all my kids to have some basic foundation that was strong. They had the skill sets to do what they needed to do. I've taken some courses. I took Kodai level 1 long ago, but that was kind of a big turning point for me in helping me develop this program. Trial and error there's things that I noticed with my beginners that maybe are really detailed that maybe you haven't thought about before. And I'll give you some of those highlights today, but I tell in my teaching tip videos the things that you need to notice so that you can be successful as you teach each lesson of S cubed. It's a method and a philosophy, as I mentioned. It's not just a method, it's more. All right, so I want to show you kind of what you aim for with your beginners, okay? So this is a long time ago, many years ago in the sight singing room with my students. This is one of the first videos I released when I started releasing and sharing. They go into the sight singing room here in Georgia, and this is what happens at the beginning when they've been trained on SQ.
It's hard to describe.
Sorry, I got rid of that commercial, but apparently I didn't. So here we go. Let's get to the end of it. Sorry about that. Maybe you want to buy that Jeep. I don't know. I must not have saved. All right. So this is them in the sight singing room coming up here. Okay, here we go. They're in the key of G. Really high. They are starting in that moment to figure out, to use SQ techniques to figure out how to do, you see, we'll talk more about what they're doing in a few moments, but this is them in the sight singing room using the skills that they've learned. Let me jump back here. And this is 5 minutes later after they've used those skills. And that's where you get, when you do all levels of S cubed, the level 1 and level 2. Now, level 1 will get you to the treble version of that. We're going to talk more about that in just a few moments. I want to jump back over here to the presentation. They have been trained, those kids that you saw were trained for 2 years in S cubed. The ingredients of S cubed to help those beginners be successful, those are non-audition singers, all of them. I don't have a select choir. We leverage all learning styles because some learn by hearing, some learn by seeing, and some learn by doing, but most people learn by doing all three. And that's a very important component to getting these skills into them. I'm a former gymnast, so we go level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, all the way to level 10 and beyond, but you don't progress from level 5 to level 6 until you have mastered the skills. S cubed is set up so that you master each different skill set very easily, and then you build on top of that throughout so that you get to where those kids were that you just saw. We do it like any sight singing method. We build and reinforce. We do it frequently. I would say I do it 3 to 4 times per week. For me, it takes less than 10 minutes because I have the transitions down pat because I created it. But for people who are beginning, when you're just starting, it may take you up to 15 minutes, but it's worth it. And after year 1, when you go into year 2, it just gets faster and faster and faster and faster for you because you know what you're doing. You incorporate fun and success and competition, which I didn't mention, but that competitive piece can be really a motivator. So we talked earlier about the game called Forbidden Pattern, and we did it. We talked about the positions. So this S cubed reinforces so many of the things that you want your students to do all the time in your class. We are going to learn about varied but comfortable do, chaos, the rhythm strategies that we use with S cubed. We're going to talk about follow the hand and ear training, which is a huge component. Training the eye, which I can't say how important that is, and pulsing. Those are some of the things we'll cover, but there are many more things in S cubed. We build one skill set at a time. All right. So we talked about concert singing position, hands by the side, position 1. We use all that from day 1 in your classroom. I recommend doing this on day 1 so that you can start to set up the fun and in the environment that we will gain and keep students in our classes. We learned position 2, which is a music learning position, front of the chair, torso up. We learned the relaxed position. Okay, we're going to talk, we did follow the hand, we're going to do follow the hand soon, but the forbidden pattern game, if you're not a solfege hand user, is really helpful for you as a teacher in getting used to using the solfege hand signs. In S cubed, you are, you as a teacher, if you've never used hand signs, if you've never used solfege, you're going to become an expert, because I had never used solfege hand signs or solfege either, but I found that it was the best way for the kids to learn sight singing, in my opinion. We have a Kodai hand chart in our room. I have a chromatic and a major. There are links inside of S cubed where you can click and go to buy one for like $2 or $3 in a TPT store. A TPT peer of mine made that. We already introduced the game earlier in this session. It's a really fun component of it. So I have some tips for you for the game to keep it interesting. Good hand placement during the game is really important, making sure they're moving up and down. Students love to be caught doing the right thing. So when you see a kid doing great hand signs, maybe they're using high do way up there, throw that at them as a distraction. You're doing great with your hand signs. Other students will emulate that kind of, you create a chemistry in your room that kids want to do the hand signs right. Later in the method, the hand placement is really important. So that's why you want to start right off emulating and acknowledging the good things you're doing with those hands. Explore how to have fun with your personality. When you watch me in the videos, don't try to be me, be you, but use your personality. I talk about my pets a lot. You heard me in the distractions. But whatever you do, you talk about what funny things you've done over the weekend. Ask the kids the things they're doing. Make the distractions the thing. We'll talk more about that in a minute. Observe the students who have pitch problems and focus issues. Forbidden pattern is quite a focus game, right? You can also hear when kids aren't matching pitch, and you can move without pointing them out. You can use your ears and listen and get information. The focus issues, sometimes kids, you have a lot of kids with focus issues and the class can't win the game. I even have a link in the S cubed PowerPoints that tells you what to do when that happens, right? I mean, I have tried to dot every I and cross every T so that you can create the environment of success for yourself and for your kids. You want to encourage students to use those signs, even if they're making mistakes. All right. So sometimes kids may stop and, you don't need to point them out, but I always just do like this. I point to their hands or point to my hand, and I do like my head like that, nodding. Allow the students to win the game sometime during the first week by going slowly enough that everybody can score a win. I've even stood in front of kids like that I knew had focus issues. I picked up on it quickly, and I'll be like, right before I go, sol, mi, sol, or whatever the forbidden pattern is, I'll be looking right at that kid in the eye or something. You find ways to make it happen. So, and they know what you're doing. They know that you want them to win. And that's also part of the good chemistry and part of the philosophy that you create with the program. Use a key that's comfortable for their voices. I recommend a do anywhere from C to around E, so that you're not doing anything too high or too low. And if you have a changing adolescent male voice class, you're going to want to adjust to a key that's comfortable for that class. So just don't make it stressfully high or low or whatever. Okay, so in S cubed, one of the things I include in addition to the lesson plans is videos of me teaching the specific lesson that you're about to teach, and videos of me giving you teaching tips for that specific lesson. So that's something that you can't get, in a book. So this is me playing the game when I first started sharing this program. You can see it's significantly younger looking. but you can watch the whole thing. This is what you and I did earlier. So we're going to not have to do that, but those are things that you'll find in S-Cube. I stop with each lesson every day and I give the teaching tips. Sorry, again, about those commercials, but you'll be able to click the links just like I'm doing now.
Searching for a better way to collaborate with your team? Try Mira, an online whiteboard.
So you see, you just click the links and then you can see me talking.
To the very first lesson of S-Cubed. This is a really important lesson because.
So I basically just talk to the teacher in those moments. Okay, so distractions are a really important part of Forbidden Pattern, all right? So you want to keep the game fast-paced for sure, but the distraction adds the fun. So as I said earlier, when you use distractions, tell those students what you're doing. Introduce the distraction because say you like to win, and just set up that relationship. Make it obvious by stopping the game and talking about something random once you've established the distraction technique with them. That way you're laughing and giggling and they'll start going, oh my God, here he goes again. He's going to talk about the cat, or and you want that kind of thing. Other times you can actually stop the game for teaching purposes, and doing both, doing things that are random that aren't related to the teaching and doing things that are random that are related to the teaching are up to you when and how much, but you can talk about voices, terminology, vocal production, correcting hand signs, posture, refer to something that you're going to teach that day in a song. I mean, anything that you can think of, but keep it brief and keep it moving. Okay, so we go on to the next slide. There are many tools that you will get in your toolbox if you use S-Cubed. As I said earlier, we introduce a new tool and we just layer on top of it so that they become more and more proficient. They're using more and more of their brains. You can even see, it's like their brains awaken as the year goes. They listen differently to each other. They self-assess and self-correct. It's really powerful to watch and see their eyes open up. Ear training is a really key component in S-Cubed, and it starts in lesson 3. So in lessons 1, lesson 2, and lesson 3, we are building the hand sign ability. We are teaching them to listen and be focused. We use a technique called follow the hand in lesson 2. So right now, I'm going to stop sharing for a second and let's do that together. Follow the hand. So everybody, you're in 6th grade class again, all right? And put your hands here for me and use your position 2. Do. Sing that back to me, go. Okay, now when I move upward to Ray, you're going to sing Ray and sign Ray, okay? And I'm going to assume that you guys are doing it correctly, right? Okay, do, let's go. So in lesson 2, that's follow the hand, you're adding follow the hand as a layer. And they are like the first time, you notice how simple I kept that. I kept it very simple so that they could not make a mistake, right? The first time I went up to Ray, like I should have probably repeated do. And then when you go to Ray, they're ready. You really lift that hand. Some kids won't lift up to Ray, but if you go slowly enough, most of them will, and the others will start to learn self-assessment and self-correction and the hand connection between the two, the lifting and the lowering. So that's in lesson 2. We're continuing, Forbidden Pattern and all the hand techniques, and I take you through each one of those. And then in lesson 3, we add another layer, and it's ear training. So you can see this is sound before sight, right? We haven't even done a sight singing example. We're building the techniques of solfege and listening. So we are in training the ear. We did follow the hand just now. We use a bullseye, which I'll show you in a minute. We don't draw on the staff just yet, but when we get to lesson 4, we do. I'll talk about that in a minute. So in the lessons, you would get to this point, you would click the video of follow the hand. It would take you right to my YouTube channel where I have that video, and you would ignore the ad and you would go straight into watching me do it with the kids. if you wanted, and you could scatter that. And then we have some ear training exercises here as well in SQ. So you just click them and you go, and it's great. Now, by the time, I'll show you some of the ear training in just a minute. But when we get to lesson 4, it's the first time that they're actually going to sight sing. So you've built the skills. I'm going to say by now we're in week 3 of school. Each lesson of SQ, we have 27 lessons in level 1. I generally think of that as taking 1 week per lesson, but sometimes you have a concert and you don't do a lot, and then you do a couple of lessons in a week, but it averages out to 1 a week. And the reason I set it up that way was because my students always went to their large group performance evaluation events in the end of third 9 weeks. And so I wanted them to be completely trained with SQ by the time they went, 6th graders and 7th graders included. All right, so this is an example, and this is the first example that they sing. In S cubed, we don't use the real key signatures until later, and I'll get into that in a minute. The kids they treat this as do. The first pitch, and I talk about this I train you as you go, but this is do. And then the kids don't ever sing that, and they start here. So you just say, this is do, and you're setting them up for a later tool they're going to use when you do this. We're going to start here. And then you're going to sing it. And so what I do in the classroom is I have the kids the first day, because this is the first day of sight sing, they will actually silently sign it. And this is all in S cubed. It tells you what to do. They silently sign it so that they're lifting their hands correctly on the ray. And I'm pointing just like I am with my pointer. All right. So they know where to go. I'm guiding their eyes. I'll talk about that in a minute. So that by lesson 4, week 4 of school, they're able to successfully do this. All right, so we pretend we're in the room and we're singing. Here's your do, do. They've silently signed, and then you go through 1, 2, ready, go, and then they will sing it and sign it. And when they successfully do it, because they will, you're going to celebrate. You're going to overreact. You're going to say things like, that is amazing. Like, you guys in 6th grade, I couldn't have done what you did. You did it a cappella, you're like, you hit everything, you use your hand signs. Like, I usually do a cartwheel. If you can do a cartwheel, whatever you need to do to help them know what a monumental and important moment this is in the 4th week of school. Okay, so in lessons 1 through 4, we have already talked about a soulfish poster I've got. Now, this is the ladder that I've got, and I have a poster with it on as well. But this is a ladder that demonstrates what we talk about in lesson 3, which is ear training. Lesson 3, this weird ladder here, like I would ask the question, of course, we all know what it is because we have music degrees, but I'm like, what's weird about this ladder? And they like look at it and they're, oh, wow. I'm like, would you use that ladder to get on your house to like clean out the leaves if your father asked you to? Well, you shouldn't, because coming down, you're probably going to fall, right? Or your father's going to fall or whatever. And they totally start to get it. And then when you're singing, of course, when you do the scales, when you're doing forbidden pattern and when you're doing follow the hand, you start, and I teach you this in the program, don't make a big difference between mi and fa. Make sure you're not moving much because of that ladder. And when you go to re, make it bigger. These are things that start to help them understand those half steps without talking about it yet. I mean, you see the ladder, but you're not going, this is a half step. They're just not ready for that. They don't need it. But they do understand when it's sung sharp, okay? Because you do some things in the ear training. So I'll give you an example. This is a bullseye that you could use, and it's in S cubed for your ear training. All right, so we're going to pretend that I have a piano, and I don't in this room. So I do, but it's not in this room. And I'm going to use this cursor as my bullseye. Okay, so I'm going to play the piano right now. This is the note I want to hit. Okay, so watch this little cursor. You saw what I did with the cursor. They're moving. I'm going sharp. I'm starting to teach them what it means to go sharp. And at the same time I'm singing, I'm banging that same pitch on the piano. So they're hearing the piano and they're hearing me go sharp. This is one of the many ear training components of S cubed, and it starts in lesson 3. So here I might do the same thing with flat. I want to sing this pitch again. Do, and I'm banging on the piano with the other hand, and I go do. and they begin the process of learning sharp and flat. And in S cubed, I've got a ton of other ear training things that happen in lesson 3 that are just helping them to learn to self-assess and self-correct. It's amazing what happens when you start to do that early. One of the things I learned early is that their eyes, and a lot of you probably know this from reading octavos, they just don't know where to look, right? And so octavo training is a whole different thing, right? And I do it as well, but not in S cubed as a part of the program. I do it as like when it's time and they need it, I just do it. But this, we're teaching detail, how to see music in detail. And when I say music, I'm just talking pitches and stems and skips, because those things for the beginner are very confusing. And I didn't realize that early on. So I have this in lesson 5. So they're sight singing pretty regularly. And I'm starting to try to get their eyes accustomed to seeing the difference between line notes and space notes. Because one thing that I noticed, and I talk about this, in the teaching tips, so you don't have to worry, it's all there, is that they saw this note, this E, differently, some kids, than they saw this note. A quarter note, that blackness of the quarter note made their eyes confused sometimes. And those are things that you need to teach. Like this line is going right through that one, the same way it's going right through that one. Those are the things that I help you teach in S cubed, and I give you the teaching tips. Also, stems matter, and we're going to talk more about that in just a moment as well. So this is example 2. So I think we're still in lesson 5 here. So I am training the eye again. Again, we're not using the real key yet. We don't use that for many lessons in S cubed because we're just taking care of building the foundations of things that other methods, quite frankly, don't do for the beginner. And then the kids make errors, and then they get frustrated, and the teacher gets frustrated. This is a do, right? And we're still using something called very big comfortable do. I'll get to that in a minute, but we're not in this real key. And they're singing do, re, mi, re, and they don't know about sharps and flats yet. So don't worry. I taught for 30 years and nobody with perfect pitch ever said a thing. So don't worry about this part. You're training the beginner's eye. So here, this note and this note. So many times I had students go, that's do and that's ti, simply because of the stem. So this is something you're going to teach them. You see how this one's higher? You ignore the stem. The stem does not matter to you yet, right? Those are things I didn't know, and those are things that are included in S cubed. All right, ledger lines. Most sight singing methods start in the key of C. That's really hard for the beginner because they don't even understand the staff, and we're asking them to understand ledger lines and then going from there to there. That's really challenging. So ledger lines come later, in my program. I get off of the staff later, but we don't focus on ledger lines for a long time until we go into the real keys. But I'm just teaching this so they know. There's your do. You don't sing it. I remind them. And then you go do and ti. Now notice when we did follow the hand earlier, we didn't go to ti. Why? Because of the half step. Those are the things I take you through in it. Everything from the teaching tips. You just watch them and you'll know, okay, today I'm just doing do, re, mi on follow the hand or whatever. So this is do, ti, la, ti, do. Obviously we can see that, but can you, 6th grader, see the difference between this pitch and this pitch? Some can, some can't. But once you point it out, they all become aware. All right, so varied but comfortable do is the tool that I created because I am a movable do person. Movable do is it. You've got to move the do. But if you are doing, like a lot of the methods went from key of C to G to F. Well, when you go to the key of G, you shock those kids and they get scared because it's high. It's high. I don't want to do it, and I don't want to hear that. So that's why I use C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, and even F, but no higher early in the program. And then I start to stretch them out. So very but comfortable do is the reason I use it is so that they're not dealing with the keys, but you have to be careful not to stick to the same do. We don't want fixed do. We stop using it once they've got a lot of tools in their toolbox, and I'm very specific in the program. I say, stop using it now, start using the real key. It's very clear in the program. Another tool that you saw in the video earlier was called chaos. All right. Now, if you're in middle school, you know what that is, right? We're going to learn what it is and why I use it, and what are the pitfalls when you're doing it for the first time, and when do we stop using it? It's actually never, but you can if you're in a school if you're in a state that requires audiation. And I think I talk about that as well in the program. I leave that for you. So when I teach chaos to my kids, basically it's a scary day. So let me see if I can pull this up for you real quick without a commercial. That would be lovely. Maybe not. All right, let me wait for that. So chaos is a tool of practice. I'll go through the specifics of how to teach it, but it is such a scary day that you want to carefully guide them through. And this is one of the teaching tip videos that you may want to check out when it's time for you to do chaos. And chaos occurs, it's taught in lesson 6. That's one of the big layers. Once you get through about lesson 7, you've hit a stride and you're just amazed at where you are. So this is me teaching it to the 6th graders on one of the first years I ever taught this to the kids.
Have 1 minute, I'm just going to stay.
They were scared.
Good job down here. Good job down here.
They're very, very scared about that moment, right? And so it's why those teaching example videos can be helpful. So as I said, chaos is taught in lesson 6, and we obviously know what chaos really is, but we have to teach it in an organized fashion, right? It's structured. It's independent practice time that occurs when they're trying to figure the sight singing example out. Once that chaos period is over, you can discuss the example in more detail if you want. You can give them another period of chaos if you want to guide them more. If it's early in your time with S Cubed, you may want to do that. If the piece is really simple, you just let them do it once and then you have them sing it. But in our state, 5 minutes is the rule. And I try to kind of stick around that when I can, or give them less as they become better. The rules are that they have to sing independently. Everyone has to sing, and I teach this on the day I teach chaos, and it's in the lessons for you. They should sing at a normal volume at their own pace and speed. They have to use the hand signs. They have to ignore everyone around them. They create a bubble world. They keep singing until I tell them to stop. They have to sing the entire time. They finish, they go over and over and over, because this is their time to work in their ability level. I tell them not to worry if the person next to them is flying and they're at a different level. It's okay. It's like language. If this child spoke French since they were 2 years old, then obviously they're going to go faster when you're in France than you would, and you've taken it for 2 years in middle school. You aren't allowed to sing with others or to work together, because in our state of Georgia, they're not allowed to do that in the LGPE room. If you encounter a difficult spot, you go back and practice. Now, later in the method, I teach how to do that, how to locate those spots. But I watch, and I'm not allowed to sing, and I make it a part of their daily grade. Now, the other big piece of the puzzle is teaching accents and meter. I use the Kodai Ta system in this method. You could certainly use a different one, and I have all the examples. You could use Takadimi, whatever you want, but I use the Kodai Ta system. So I teach them, of course, we know rhythm by itself is really easy. Using rhythm exercises is a great way to establish solid accenting techniques. So we separate the rhythm out from the pitches early when we start the rhythm in around lesson 7 or 8. They are going to learn how to accent beat 1. That's like finding do. And one of the things I talk about early from lessons 1 to 6 is the importance of never losing do. Well, it's the same with beat 1. Revving of the voice, ta, ah, ah. I teach that to them. Taking the time to teach and practice counting in varied time signatures. In S Cubed, we use 4/4, 3/4, and 2/4. And that'll get them all the way there. And you lay such a solid foundation that you can go fingers out. They're so ready for what's next when they finish S Cubed. We learn to count ourselves in during the rhythm components of S Cubed, and singing in 1, 2, 3, ready, go, things like that. So in S Cubed, you'll see video of me teaching the meter, right? And you can look at it. Here's some examples of some rhythm exercises. They would copy them. We learned to draw the accent marks, or you could have them come to the board and draw on it if you have that type of board. Ta, 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 ta. The importance of those accents and going slowly so that they learn steady beat. These are the things that you're doing in around lesson 7, 8, 9. Later on, you've gotten really good at rhythm, and we go to two-part. We use two-part rhythm exercises to prepare them for two-part singing, of two-part sight singing, that is, right? So it's really good because they learn to be independent, the altos and sopranos, when they are sight reading rhythm. So that goes on for many, many lessons before we begin the two-part sight singing. All right, one of the philosophies is awakening your kids at times when they need to be awakened. So we're about week 18 or 17, I think, and we have a moment of awakening, meaning that on this day, I think it's usually right before we go home for the holiday break for me, I throw this example up and I tell the altos, because we have been singing in two parts, right, in our concert pieces or whatever. I'm like, altos, you're on the bottom, sopranos, you're on the top, ready, set, go. And they have the 5 minutes, and I'm like, you have to figure it out. And they do it, and they fail. They usually kind of get to around measure 4, but they fail. And then I just keep clapping for the rhythm, even though they've all pretty much failed and nobody's gotten past, measure 5 or so. And then they go to the end and they sit there. I'm like, so how did that feel? And like, it felt terrible. And like, how would you have felt if you were in the sight singing room and you, and you had an example that you didn't know how to do, and you had to do that in front of the judge? Well, we would have felt terrible and embarrassed. And, like, why didn't Mr. Duncan teach us? Well, that's because when you come back from holiday break, we will learn what this dotted quarter or eighth note combo is and what to do with it. We will learn how to sing these eighth notes, which you have not learned yet they've already learned it in rhythm, but they haven't learned it in the sight singing examples, which are the goal. So that's a part of the various moments that we inject philosophy into our teaching with S cubed. Now, when they get to the end, and we're almost at the end of this presentation, I'll take your questions. This is where they get to the end of level 1 of S cubed. This is treble. This is end of 6th grade, like March of 6th grade, or 7th grade if you have your beginners then, or 8th grade if you've got beginners there. But for me, it was always 6th and 7th. And this is what they're able to do a cappella in 5 minutes, all right? So they've got skips as wide as an octave. They've got syncopated rhythms. They know how to use all the tools, and they can successfully finish and graduate from the level 1 of S cubed. Now, before I take your questions, I don't know if some of you have Music First in your school systems. If you do, you have complete access to S cubed right now. And if you're a smart music user, you have access to the homework examples only, but it's something. So Music First has all of my curriculum of level 1 plus all of my homework practice examples in it. So you can just play around with that, have your students do the same. Those homework examples are one-to-one with every lesson, like that I did with S cubed, so that if you wanted, you could send them home and they could do that, but I didn't use them a ton, and the curriculum by itself is completely enough. You don't need to have those homework examples, but if you do, go for it. My students began to like sight singing once I used my S cubed method. They felt successful with each step. I never over challenged except during awakening periods, right? Success is celebrated. We make fun a huge part of this experience. So I told you earlier, it will take about 10 to 15 minutes a day, 6 to 7 months or so to get through level 1. By then, your beginners are able to sight sing what you just saw, 2 parts, all right? So we're gonna close this. I wanna make sure to remind everybody in the chat, if you wanna go grab lesson 3 for free, I put a link to a Google document that has that. And also we have until 1 o'clock, 50% off of the mega bundle, which is levels 1 and 2, level 1 and elementary bundle. And now I'm going to come out of here and let you ask all the questions that you would like to ask. Let me just stop sharing real quick. So I'm going to start with the chat, and then I'll see what everyone needed here. Okay. Okay, so the links are at the top of the chat. Let me see, somebody said repost it. I'll repost that link to the free stuff so you guys can play around with that. and grab that free lesson. Okay, do you always sing in upper register with sixth graders? I do. I show them my real voice, and then I go to my falsetto. I certainly, you could do it the other way, but I think it complicates matters, and I want to emulate the tone quality that I want from them. Okay, how do you mediate when a student makes a mistake in forbidden pattern and other students get mad at them for losing the point? My response is always humor. And I try to remind everybody that, we're here, we're having fun, and, but I don't get into any lecture kind of situation. And in the program, I put links in there about when you have that child who accidentally, who just has like an ADHD thing or something that's really bad. But always with humor, always light, always fun, never serious. As soon as you turn the serious corner, you've lost them. The class that you saw the video of was my 8th graders when they were in the sight singing room. So they had solid training with S Cubed. They were through level 2. They had done 6 months of sight reading factory, which we do after, and I'm just keeping them fresh so they're ready for high school. But their ears are solid as a rock by then, and they can sing in chromatics and all kinds of stuff that you didn't see that we go into level 2. Do you teach rhythm first, or is it expected that they know that in 4/4 quarter note gets 1 beat? Rhythm in S Cubed comes around lesson 7. I think maybe I answered this after you wrote that question. She was explaining everything to students who don't speak English. I have 50 different languages spoken in my school. So I understand what you're talking about. Not all of my kids speak those languages, but we have a very diverse community. What I've learned is that it's the experience of doing. The hand signs don't require language. My students, when they come from a different country within 3 months, they speak hardly any English. They get better so fast usually. And it has not been an issue for me, especially with the music. They are usually super attentive because they know their language skills are weak. Do you play the singing position game on the first day? I do, always. I want to set up that relationship and that fun. I want them to want to come back. Do you do it every year, even with your older students? I do. And because there are new things to teach. In my 8th graders, they're back in mixed choir. So in the game, instead of just doing the game like I always do, I teach octaves immediately, and that's part of level 2, like having the girls and boys listen for those octaves. And I start singing in my real, my real voice for them in 8th grade to help the boys as well. But it's new, and the girls tend to sing sharp, if you don't do that. So you can use the game to teach more. Why have I not aged? Oh, if I tell you that, I have to kill you, but it's bought and paid for. Let's just be honest. But thank you. Do I explicitly teach the entire solfege scale before you start lesson 1? No, I don't. I just teach lesson 1 the way that you just experienced it today and the way that you will see it in the videos. Breaking the class period down into minutes. What is your flexible schedule? For example, X amount of minutes on forbidden pattern, move to next. Okay. The S Cubed portion of a lesson for me was always first, and it went to 10 to 15 minutes, right? When you're first starting, expect to take a little longer because your transitions aren't going to be strong yet, right? And you'll get stronger. After we do the final part of whatever the lesson is for S Cubed, I do announcements for my kids. I have 50-minute classes, announcements really quick. And then we do a vocal warm-up for 5 minutes or so, a little bit more vocal technique focused, obviously, because we've already warmed up a bit with the solfege in the game and follow the hand. And then we do, that vocal warm-up is really important for vocal technique. And then that's the rest of the class is repertoire. The last 5 minutes of class is review, starburst questions for maybe forbidden pattern or something I wanted them to remember, or not forbidden pattern, maybe S Cubed stuff that we learned or whatever, just to motivate them to remember. They love the starburst questions. I have 5th and 8th grade in one choir, and we meet twice a week. What program do you recommend? Jennifer, how long do you see them? I'll tell you a couple of ideas. If you're seeing them 50 minutes each time or an hour each time, I have I would start with the elementary bundle. It's not elementary. It includes the first 5 lessons, just like regular S cubed. It's just that elementary teachers don't see their kids that much. So I bundled it so they wouldn't have to buy the whole thing. Now, I have also got it bundled in lessons 6 through 10. So if you did pass, lesson 5, Jennifer, with your kids, you could go and buy lessons 6 through 10 in TPT store, and then you could have probably what you would need, and you would get a lot of great skills just with those. I bundled it a lot of different ways. If you go in my TPT store, you'll see all the different ways I've bundled. Okay, does having the key signature serve as a distraction? No, the key signature, it really isn't necessary for a very long time when you're in S cubed. It's just not. I know we think in terms of, that because we're so well trained, they don't. But they do get key signatures later. They learn how to understand them. They know more about how to deal with them than I knew in college, really. Not the theoretical points, but how to cope with them when they're sight singing. Random, if you use Chrome, you block origin extension will eliminate the ads. Oh, that's a great, thank you, Susan, for that tidbit. Jennifer, you will move more slowly through the program. Hand sign fluency and follow the hand exercises will take longer to master. I'm not sure who that's for. I think you're helping someone. The visual aids are really an important component. Being able to see me teach it, even just for a few moments, gives you a better idea. The teaching tips, I always wanted somebody just to tell me what they did and how they got that result. Week 1, do you teach them all of the notes of the major scale, the hand signs? I do. We don't sing scales as a part of forbidden pattern in the beginning, but if you watch my videos, if you follow my instructions that I write in the PowerPoints, you're going to know exactly what to do. And if you just follow it one at a time, like, don't get overwhelmed. Don't start looking at lesson 7. Don't start looking at lesson 12. I mean, teachers start going crazy because there's so much information in this program that honestly, what you just need to do is go, okay, this week we're doing lesson 3. Let's look at it. And then you go. And that's your first year and how you should do it. And then after you go through it yourself, then you can go back and, okay, well, I don't like how he did this, so I'm going to do this, or I'm going to organize it this way, or I need it laid out this way. But I tried to share every single mistake I made so that you could avoid it. And that's what I try to do. I do use Sight Reading Factory after my kids finish level 2. And if you all use Sight Reading Factory, there's a promo code S cubed, and you can get 10% discount on everything, because I work with Don Craft and everything that you need for S cubed for your students and for yourself. Spanish speaking student tips again. No, I don't, because I don't plan to convert it into any other language, because I haven't seen the demand. And also, when they're in our system, they're learning English, and it's really good for them. So, and they will, again, catch it very quickly. I have a lot of Spanish speakers. Okay, so thank you for sharing the doc link. You guys, the doc link to get the free lesson and to get discounts if you want on any of the bundles. How would you feel? How would you help make sight singing feel more relevant when your state does not require any sort of statewide assessment? Having fun. In Jersey, I used to teach in New Jersey, and I did not have a sight singing component in New Jersey. And I taught general music only, and that's when I was developing this system, but I just didn't know it yet. It's all about the experience and having fun and teaching them, oral skills and how to read. Yes, Emily, I don't know if anybody in here has done this with high school, but I have a blog post about it because I get that question a lot. It is used in high schools. If you have beginners, you of course will change your demeanor, and you won't be as kiddie as I am with the kids, but you'll find your way to relate to them, and it really works great with them as well. Not advanced kids, right? Obviously not. I'm new to my school this year. What level would you recommend starting with the 8th graders? Level 1. Level 1 that you can't skip this because of the skill sets that you're learning. If you went to level 2, you'd be like, it would be useless for you because you wouldn't know how the daily system works. Would you be able to send us something for credit? 1 hour PD? I can send you this PowerPoint. I thank you very much, Lisa, for the kind words. I can send any of you this PowerPoint. Just email me at inthemiddleofmrd@gmail.com. If there's a way to put it in here and you guys know how I can put it in the chat, I'll try it. Maybe I have a Google slide or something. I can try that in a minute. I see them 40 minutes. Okay, yeah, you're gonna want elementary. Are you teaching songs by rote until kids learn to sight sing? Yes, on a little, but I'm also teaching other reading skills when they're actually holding octavo. They're different reading skills. I even have a blog post within S Cubed that tells you, okay, so what am I doing until my kids catch up with sight singing? So I've answered all of these questions, because when I was developing the program, I would get these questions from teachers who were helping me, like they didn't know they were helping me, but they were. And I'll write a blog post, or I'll do a YouTube video, and I include those links in the program. Yes, I'm going to get this PowerPoint to you guys. Do you utilize Music First for yourself, or only the SQ program? Are there other programs you'd recommend? Okay, so full disclosure, when I first developed the homework examples, I developed them for a company called Music Prodigy. They're the same homework examples. When the pandemic happened, and I used Music Prodigy with my kids, Music Prodigy is no longer available for new purchases. It may change, but I didn't talk about them today because of it. It's the same similar technology. Music First is owned by so many districts that I just wanted to throw it out there in case you already have it. You don't need to buy this. You could just go in there. It's all there. And it just became available for free on Music First about a month ago, and they haven't even announced it yet. So Smart Music, it's available there too, only the homework examples, all right? You don't need those homework examples though. I used them because it was a great assessment tool, but it does not do anything to enhance the program. The program is self-sufficient. I have the program for a while now, just scared to do it wrong. Don't be scared to do it wrong, just do it. If I'm starting SQ for the first time, but have taught my incoming 8th graders for 2 years already, still start from zero. Always from zero. What's the best way for me to practice, learn, so I can become confident with game? With your children, with a friend. Just do it in class and don't stress, and just be honest that you're learning this too. That's how I would do it. Okay, and I think that's it. All the questions that I saw. So I'm gonna stay. I bought the mega bundle from David Pepper. Will I get all the videos? Yes. No homework examples, but you get the program. It's self-sufficient. Sorry, there's some blower outside, so if it's loud. How did you come up with the names? S Cube, Successful Sight Singing, three S's. That's it. So if you guys have questions, you can ask on camera, off camera. I'm gonna stay here as long as you want me to. I'm gonna see if I can figure out how to put in the chat the PowerPoint on Google Slides. Yeah, and the offers last until 1 p.m. The free training lesson 3 and the 50% off of those bundles. Okay. Thank you very much. So good to see your faces. Have a great summer. And I'm just going to sit here and let you guys leave. All right. And or ask questions, either one. Okay. Let me see if I can find that other thing. Thank you. Thank you again for being here. And I'll look at the chat in just a minute. I'm just going to see if I can grab the PowerPoint for you. Looks like I'm going to be able to do it. Okay, copy link. So I'll put this in the chat right now. This is the PowerPoint from today on Google Slides. Okay, hold on, let me try this again.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, just one moment.
Okay. I didn't know if my mic was on.
Yeah, I'm above my pay grade right now. There, okay, I just did it. There's the PowerPoint, my technology pay grade. All right, go ahead, I'm ready.
Sorry, I've been driving, and so I can't like look at any of this stuff. Okay. Do you have the prices posted somewhere in this?
I do. The Google Docs. Let me see if I can relocate that. If somebody has it and you want to, there it is. This has pricing. I'm going to do it right in the chat. Are you able to look at the chat or no?
I'm getting out of my car, so now I can. But I just had to get somewhere.
In the chat, I'm pulling this up right now again, and I'm going to repost it because this chat works for people. Okay. And the PowerPoint is in there too.
My other question is, I am not going to be home before 1 o'clock, so I won't be able to. Well, can I?
That's okay.
Is there some way I can get the discount?
Yes, absolutely. You know what? I will, because it's already 12 o'clock, and I'm sure a lot of people are in that position. It's not going to be a hard finish at 1. What time are you done?
I will be home by like 2.
I'm probably just gonna leave it like until like 6 o'clock tonight, because I know a lot
Oh,
of.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. Thanks for being here. All right, anybody else questions?
Yeah, first of all, thank you,
Absolutely.
Duncan, for doing this. My district, I work in Kansas City, Missouri, and my district just purchased Music First at the beginning of the whole COVID epidemic here,
Yeah.
or pandemic. And and so we were thrown all of this stuff. Okay, here you have Music First, so just like do all of this. So a lot of my colleagues, we like the SQ, we like the idea of it,
Mhm.
but under the circumstances, we didn't really like get it, I guess. You know,
Yeah.
it's just kind of a lot. But what my question is on the Music First platform, are the videos that you're talking about, are they on Music First as well as the example? Because I can see the examples, but I
Yeah.
can't seem to find the videos.
Okay. Well, I'm kind of announcing it before they're really ready. So they're in the midst of cleaning all of that up. About a month ago, I went back to double check when they told me they were going to offer it free to you guys, like no extra
Right.
subscription. Then I was like, well, I need to make sure it's presentable. And I went back, and they've done a great job of uploading things, but it's just, it looks different. It's not in the PowerPoint format like this. And there were some missing videos, but there were some videos that were there. So I don't think it's complete yet. So I would say to you to go back and look through, see if you get some of them, but not all of them. Then email me in the middle of mystery@gmail.com and kind of help me back check that. And then you can email the company too, so they know, because they're in the middle of preparing for that, right? Like they know they're going to announce in about a month, because they're just doing the work now. So
Right. Do you know what section it's going to be in?
I think I'm not a super user of Music First. I don't know much about them the way I did Music Prodigy, but I know that it used to be under premium subscriptions, and now it's under Annie. You could just search it under Coral.
Well, this is the way it looks now, just FYI. This is the way it looks now. So I have the examples up. So I see lesson 4, example 1.
But you don't see lesson 1?
But I don't see it says that the videos, because I went back and searched, and it said that the videos were in the music library, but I don't see them in the music library. Yeah, just kind of FYI, so you know.
I appreciate it. Well, when they had me look at it about a month ago, they had already begun the process. Maybe they just haven't made it public, you know.
They haven't uploaded it yet.
It was all there. There were just a few missing videos. I mean, it was laid out a little bit differently than me in the PowerPoints, but it's still all there, totally usable. You don't have to buy the PowerPoints. And if you wanted, you could also use the Music First technology for the assessment examples. So you've got it all there.
Okay.
And there's no need to purchase the curriculum from teachers, or TW Pep or any of that.
Okay, that answers my question.
Thanks for the heads up, and please keep me posted since you're a user of it, so I can make sure before, because I know people are going to take a break for the next couple of weeks, you know, but soon it's going to ramp up again, and I want it to be ready for the teachers. So yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, sir. I appreciate your time.
Other questions? Anyone else?
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so talk to me more about how Music First fits into your curriculum. I didn't remember seeing that at all when I purchased the Mega Bundle.
Yeah, so, all right. There are 2 components of SQ. The main component is the curriculum, which you own, Mega Bundle, and that's really all that you need, all right?
Okay.
But in addition to it, I created some homework and assessment examples that are one-to-one with every sightseeing example that's in S-Cubed, so that if you wanted on lesson 4, day 1, you could say, all right, kids, go home and do the homework example, and it'll grade you, and it'll tell you if you're sharp or if you're flat. You could do that, but you don't have to do that, right? Because they're going to be fine anyway. So Music First decided to offer all of my stuff because they have that technology. So they're offering all of it, the curriculum plus the homework examples. So Music First users would not need to purchase anything from TPT or J.W. Pepper because it's all there.
Okay.
But if you
Is
own,
music?
do you have Music First?
No, I hadn't even heard of it.
Don't worry about it then, because do you have Smart Music?
No.
Then don't worry about it. You don't need it. It's a cool component of assessment and
Okay.
an individual, way so that you don't have to have kids come up and sing alone, or you know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So I had just 2 more questions. So I just got done with a 2-week Kodai workshop, and they use folk songs all the time. Like for the first 6 weeks, that's all they do is just teach the folk songs so that they can use that to teach music fundamentals. Do you use folk songs in your curriculum very much?
I don't, but I firmly believe in the Kodai way of doing it. It's just not, it didn't work for me, not didn't work, but I'm not a big fan of the folk songs. I know I'm probably shouldn't say that, but totally, if you love it, do it. But this program, obviously, as you know, is like, it's directly aimed at their sight singing skills and helping them get them.
Right. And my last question was, so before your kids are good sight readers, how are you teaching them their concert songs? Are you teaching them by rote?
Some by rote, but not all. Really, as I said a little bit ago, you might not have heard it, is when you're in doing S cubed, you're being consistent, right? Week by week, you're building, you're getting better with sight singing. But when you have an octavo in your hand, you're teaching different stuff, right? You're still teaching music reading, but it's just like, you need to think of S cubed as like, we don't teach 6-year-olds how to diagram a sentence, right? We just teach them how to read at whatever level they can, so we will eventually teach them how to when they're ready to understand that. But so S cubed, you're teaching all those fundamentals and building it, and then one day it's going to catch up and it's going to intersect. But I don't just go, here, you sing this back to me. So mire is the beginning, first 3 pitches of the song. But what I do, and I address this in the program, I put links to what do I do before, like I actually answer that question in there. But I'll start introducing a song with form sometimes, have them listen and draw pictures. I will start by outlining using solfege, the basic melody. And so that they can feel they're listening, they're using the hand signs, they're using some of the skills, but they're still basically learning by ear. But there's a value to that as well. I mean, we're approaching it from all sides, right? And then eventually, and it's magic.
Okay.
So I don't know if I answered your question. But
yeah, no, I was just interested in what you're doing with your classroom time when you're not actually doing like your 10-15 minutes of actual literacy.
Well, I outlined this a little bit ago, but like 10-15 minutes of that, vocal warm-up, announcements, work on rep.
Okay, yeah. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, thanks for being here. Anybody else questions?
I had a quick question.
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
I wanted to know when we purchase S cube, is that accessible to students as well, or is it accessible to only us?
Well, you could certainly share it with your students. You don't need to purchase. This is a curriculum. You're purchasing it for yourself or for your school, or they're purchasing it for you. So you only need one license. So you could share it with them, but there's not really a reason to. I mean, unless it's just you decide for your situation, you want to present it a certain way. I mean, you can share the slides with them in Google Classroom or whatever. You don't need 300 licenses. You know what I mean? For 300 kids.
Right. Okay. I just wanted to know because I wanted to do some assessments where they sight read and record themselves.
Yeah.
So if I could post it onto my Canvas page,
Oh, yes.
I could, but I probably would just have to like copy it or screenshot it and post the sight reading
Probably so.
for them to follow.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine.
Yeah. I did a lot of that. And we actually created a distance version during that period of her time.
That's fun.
That's available. Not so fun, but it's there. We all had to be creative, right? All right. Thank you, Irvia. Other question?
I have one other question,
Okay.
Bill. How do you and when do you combine the use of S cubed and Sight Reading Factory?
It's only after they finish level 2, but it doesn't, that for me, but it doesn't mean you have to do it that way. Like I have in my plan of action with concerts and all the things that we're doing, I am very committed to my S cubed process. I'm very committed to teaching, the classroom daily routines and management things. I'm very committed to concerts once per 9 weeks minimum. And so those are my focal points. So I could, but you may have a different point of view, and it would work great for you. You could do Sight Reading Factory earlier. I just think it could, for me, it would be overkill and it would suck some time away from other things.
So as an example, because I'm trying to, like my principal's big on do nows. You got to have a do now for all of this. So I'm trying to figure out like, okay, so do I do S cubed as a do now and then Sight Reading Factory as a lesson? you know what I mean? Just trying to figure if I were going to use both of them.
Let me tell you, when your administrator comes in and sees what you're doing with those kids when you're doing S cubed, that's going to be all they need to see. Because I'm just telling you, like, it really, it is layer by layer by layer, one step at a time. If you just do that, you're gonna be very well assessed by your administrators.
Okay.
Do you do anything else to like for a ticket in the door, basically, right?
No, my routine is they walk in the door and they start the written warm up, or if I write on top, it's going to be oral that day. We do that as soon as they're settled. It depends on what, but I start immediately with S cubed.
Okay.
Yeah. Just like first day of school.
Fun.
I just jump right in because they don't want to hear me talk about rules and procedures first day. Well,
They want to hear about your cat.
They want to hear about my cat. Yes. Anybody else? Questions? I'm going to look in the chat real quick, and then I'm probably going to shut it down unless you have more. But let me see. PowerPoint is here. What's that?
Sorry. Did you say that the elementary bundle, is that just the first couple lessons of the standard level 1?
Yes. It's exactly the same first 5 lessons. There is no difference. So if you're a general music teacher and you teach 9 weeks of general music and then you get a new group, you could do elementary bundle. They walk out with some awesome skills, some good oral skills, ability to use hand signs. They're getting great stuff. If you're an elementary teacher, it's perfect for you because you don't see your kids that much. And in 4th and 5th grade, you're laying the foundation for the middle school. And they're getting that ear training, they're getting the hand sign usage, they're learning the philosophies, the fun and etc. So elementary bundle can be purchased by anybody. And if you finish elementary bundle, you can always jump in and get lesson 6. And I've told teachers always, like, I am here for you. Like, I understand budgets. I've taught for a very long time. You just email me and you say, look, I purchased this, I've flown through it. Could you give me a discount on the other blah, blah? I'm going to do it because I understand, right? And you just tell me, sometimes I even say, just tell me what you can afford and let's do that. Like, we're going to make it happen. I understand.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Anybody else? All right, let me check this chat again. I'm going to try to post this recording on Facebook. And I'm going to try to send it to my email list as well. Somebody asked about an updated version of S cubed, and there is an updated version. I did it 3 weeks ago, and it's in TPT. So you just go to My Purchases in TPT store, and you get the new one. And JW Pepper, I'm not sure how it works if you purchase from them, but they have the newer versions as well. I put in to purchase through my school for next year, and they approved it, but I can't purchase anything until July 5th due to school's funding from. Renee, just email me in the middle of mrd@gmail.com. I gotcha. Anybody here, I gotcha, because I appreciate your time. And yep. Somebody said, do we purchase with our own money? Schools can purchase. There are purchase orders. I have a blog post, and you can email me and ask me for it. I'll show you how to do the purchase order step by step. And I think that's pretty much it. All right, you guys, I think I'm out. All right. Thank you very much for being here. And we hope you have a good July 4th. All right. Take care.
See ya.
Bye-bye.